welcome everyone. Today I'm going to talk about web performance and optimizations and mainly focus on image, font, and JavaScript. Why is that CSS not there? Because Hui Jing is here. Just now she talked a lot CSS already. I don't want to put more focus on the CSS. That's why. Okay. Stop moving. Okay, so since this is like everyone just after tea break, right? So please still stay awake. I'll be finish it probably around 30 minutes, hopefully. Else it's like 40 minutes, so stay awake. Don't fall asleep, else I will just call your name, okay? Okay, so my name is Jecelyn. I'm a software architect, and I'm a GDE for Angular and web technologies, so I love Angular. If later on you have anything to talk about Angular or anything about web, you can talk to me afterwards. And I'm also organizer of Women Who Code KL network and also NGMY 2019. Okay, so I think everyone have the feeling have been browsing slow website before. Sometimes it might feel like this. You feel like want to cry, but you still need to go through the process because it's mandatory website, for example, government website, that you need to fill in something. It's slow, but you still need to wait. Sometimes if you are going to e-commerce website, if it's not big discount, you just go away. So this website is so lousy, so slow, then I go to the other website and do the similar thing. Okay, but so let's say why do we want to build like a fast website, like a performance website? Because it's to make our user happy and they have a pleasant browsing experience. If the user not happy, means they leave the website. If they leave the website, means probably your website doesn't generate any income. Then probably as a software engineer, I will be unemployed because my boss no longer have money to pay me. So this is important for my futures. And page speed actually matters to SEO page ranking. So since July, there's an update on Google SEO algorithm, especially on the page speed in mobile phone. It's actually taken it into account. So if your website performs well in desktop, it's not enough. It needs to perform well in mobile as well. So you really need to optimize your speed in order to rank your page higher. Okay, then you might argue, but it takes a lot of effort to do so. And building features is more important. So for example, your website, what you are building is after the login. So it might not be e-commerce where speed is really important, but something like more administrative. Probably you think like, oh, my user always have fast internet. I don't need to take care about the performance so much because my user definitely have 4G. So let me tell you that this is not true. Like no one don't like speed website. No one don't like fast website, right? You might hate slow website, but you cannot say that I don't like fast website. So speed is actually a basic need, and it is a feature itself. So if I like a website, so the first thing, it needs to load fast, and there's no excuse for you to not do it. So later on when I share some of the tips, it's very easily can be implemented in your website. So there's actually no reason for you to not do that because it's just take a little bit more of effort. Okay? So these are what we are going to talk about today. First, we'll talk about how do you measure and monitor, because what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. So first, you need to know how you can know the performance, and then you can improve it. Then we talk about performance optimization. How can you optimize it once you know there are things to improve? Then we'll talk about some summary, what are the tools you can use, what are the things that moving forward you can read on about how to improve the performance continuously. Okay? Set? Okay, go. Okay, measure and monitor. There are some tools that are very helpful for you to measure the page performance. So let's say now, if you pull out your website, you just go to this page speed inside this website. Anyone heard about this? Okay, so this is a website by Google's. What you can do is you just put in any website URL and then you click analyze. It will give you a score. So the score can be high or can be low. So it will give you like two scores. One is for the mobile, so how your website performs in mobile. So for example, this website that I built is 94% in mobile, but in desktop it's 100%. So you see that there's different because in website, for desktop and mobile, you can have different techniques to optimize that. So it means that I haven't done enough to optimize it to be 100%, but 94% is still good, right? And there are other tools that you can use. Another tool you can use is called Lighthouse. Lighthouse comes with the Chrome browser. So if you have the Chrome browser, you open up the DevTools, and there's an audit tab. Click on it and then run. It will give you the similar result and give you what are the score of your website. And later on, it will give you the tips on how you can improve it. So same PageSpeed Insight and Web Page Test as well. So use either one of these, you can get instant insight of your website. Okay, so this is the same page. So after you run the PageSpeed or Lighthouse, it will give you these metrics as well. So except of the score, you get like detailed metrics. What is the first content pane of your website? So what is the first time the content pane out? So it's 1.9 seconds, so not bad. And this is the rendering frame of the website. And then it will give you some of the tips, like what are the opportunities that I can improve your page. And then it will give you some additional links sometimes, so you can read about how can you improve that. Okay, so it's very helpful using these tools to let you know like how your web performs and what are the things that you can do in order to improve it. Okay, but when we are doing development, like especially web applications, not website, like web applications that needs on continue to add in new features, it might not be like sometimes when they have time, they go to PageSpeed Insight, paste the URL and check it. Like every time do that manually, it might be a little bit tedious, and sometimes when you forget it, so probably you might not monitor your performance anymore. And when other people add on like slower code, you might not be able to detect. So it's good that we can have some way to automate the performance measuring and monitoring. So what you can do is Lighthouse is not just available as Chrome developer tools. It can be a package that you install during your pipeline. So what you need to do is you run npm install Lighthouse. So this is the Lighthouse package that you can run. After that, you can set a file called budget.json. So the budget.json is the budget that you set. So for example, this is the example of a budget.json file. So you say that I want that for all the resource, for all the JavaScript, the size, I want it to be maximum 125 KB, for example. And in total, all the file, it should be like 300 KB. And then I say that, so for any third-party JavaScript, I want the total count to be 10, less than 10. Then after you set it, like what are the metrics that you want to set, then you run Lighthouse, paste the URL that you want to run, and then set the budget file that you are setting. Then you can integrate this command in your CI/CD pipeline. So wherever you check in your code, you trigger this to run, and it gives you a report on how your page performed. And probably you can set up to send an email to you so that you can get yourself informed and get the team informed. So the report looks like this. It will tell you that, oh, so this is your current file size, whether you are over budget or under budget. So the budget is what you set in your budget.json file just now. Okay, there's more details about that, but I think you can read like detailedly how to set up the file here. So later on, we'll share the slide. All right, so this is how you can measure and keep monitoring your web page performance. Next, we need to be able to optimize. Once we know there are things that we can improve, we need to optimize the website and get fast. So this is the research done by HTTP archive. So what caused the page weight? Like the normal page, averagely image costs the most weight. Because normal, right, when you go to YouTube not YouTube, okay, e-commerce, anything that you see is image, discount, and then discount, and then discount, and then a lot of image that show how rice bowl look, side, front, left. So there's a lot of image loading. That's why image is the top that costs the page weight, and JavaScript is the next. Font, surprisingly, probably you might not even know. Sometimes when the website, we use a lot of custom font to show you like better text. It's actually costs a lot of weight as well. CSS, not that much. That's why we are not discussing it today. HTML and others. Okay, because I only have 30 minutes, I cannot cover everything. Okay. Okay, so we'll talk image first, font, and then JavaScript. Okay. So for images, okay, so actually this slide, this presentation I've done in Manila before, that is Tagalog. Any Filipino here? So it means, are you serious? So imagine I go to one page. I go to, for example, a e-commerce page. Probably I look at the first page, I haven't even scrolled yet, and I know that this is the thing I want already. So I click, and then I go to the other page. So you might thought that it might only load the image that I see, but it's actually not. Probably the page is so long, it loads all the image that you don't even see, and then it costs 5 MB. So in Malaysia, our data is still quite expensive. We have limited data. So like if imagine like it costs you a lot of weight, and when I browse the website, then my data gone, it would be a very frustrating experience for me. So, okay, so this is a page where I built. Let's take a guess. There's this white color icon there, like little icon, right? Can you guess this is an SVG, and we duplicate the SVG to a field to make it align. Can you guess how big, what is the size of this SVG? Okay, if you guess it right, there's no prize. Can you guess like how big is the size? Just take a number, like this tiny little white color thingy.
1 KB.
Oh, 1 KB, very good.
5 KB.
5 KB, very good.
100 KB.
Okay, 100 KB. So do you think, now I ask you a question, do you think this thing is important? No, do you think that this little white color icon is important? If I remove it, does it impact your readings? No, right? So it's like this, look nicer, but if it's not there, it doesn't impact anything, right? Okay, it costs 32 KB. So 32 KB is actually very big for something that is nice to see, but not necessary to have. So it's to my surprise as well. So how do I find out it? So I find it out when I analyze the network requests that we make. When loading the page, there's one like, why is this tiny thing load 32 KB? Imagine this is 32 KB, then this big image is like, how many, 1 MB or something? So it's not reasonable. So why is this happening is because SVG is something like XML syntax. It sometimes contains a lot of metadata, which is not important for display. For example, it contains the author information and some others comment, a lot of comment that you don't really, it doesn't really matter of the display of the image. That's why what we can do is you can go to this website called SVG, oh my God, because it's oh my God. You go to this website, it's open source by the Chrome team. And you just drag your image in, and there's a bunch of features that you can say that what do you want to remove and what not, and then you download the versions, then you can see the size difference. And if you don't want to manually do it, you can actually put it in one of your CI/CD process. There's an NPM package you can use called SVG Go. So it's the same, but you can automate it. So instead of you every time do yourself, you automate it using some of the code. Okay, so what we can do is from 32 KB, we stream it down to 2 KB. This is the size before we zip it. So when we zip it and then send through the network, it's even smaller. Okay, pretty good. So next, WebP. WebP is a new format of the, not so new already, but it's still new format of image. It's something like PNG but smaller. So we have JPEG and PNG is something that most well known. So what is why do sometimes we use PNG, sometimes we use JPEG? It's because normally when we use PNG, we want to display an image with transparent background. With JPG, your image background cannot be transparent. So WebP is like PNG, it supports transparent background, but because of the algorithm that it implements, don't know what algorithm, so the file size is smaller, but what we see is the same. So WebP image is 25 to 35% smaller compared to the same quality of JPEG or PNG. Okay, so Webpack has been supported in Chrome browser, Edge. Mozilla said that they want to ship it, so they will build it. That one is the Safari browser. So question mark because they didn't say anything yet. So if you want to use WebP format of image show in your website, probably it's not supported in Safari, but I will tell you some of the technique that you can do it. With these three browsers, it accounts for about 78% of the global user, which is good because if you use WebP, 78% of your user get the features that they want, like load faster. Okay, just to give you an example. So for this page, there's two big images. One is teh tarik, one is roti canai. Okay, so because Malaysian like food. Okay. So if this image is a PNG, it's 119 KB. The same quality of image, same size, if it's a WebP, it's only 28 KB. So for this one, if it's a PNG, it's 278 KB, but if it's a WebP, same quality is 30 KB. So you see how many 100% that is saved for the size. Okay, so, but we still want to support Safari user or some of the older browser that doesn't support WebP. So what you can do is, instead of just using IMG tag, so normally when we put image, we use IMG tag, you use a picture tag, which is a HTML5 element, put it as a picture tag, and then you set that, so the source and source size means that if my browser support image/WebP, I will load the first line. I will load the WebP, and I will load the PNG. But if my browser doesn't understand the formats of WebP, it will load the second line. So by writing, so instead of just writing IMG, you export another image called WebP, and then it will just switch just using this picture tag. Then you can achieve the performance optimizations for image. Okay. Another type is we need to mention about the image compressions. So there are two types of image compressions. Lossless means it doesn't lose anything, you still see the perfect image. And loosey, which means that we sacrifice a little bit of the quality of the image. And you can see that it's look a little bit blur here. So at a minimum, all the websites should use this one because it looks nice. But a lossless image costs more weight, like the size is bigger. A loosey image is not that nice, but you can have like a better speed because the file size is much smaller. So the tricky point is how many percentage you can accept the loss of an image. So if I set my image as 80% of the quality, is that still look okay? Did the users still see the difference? Or how much optimization can I achieve? So as a general rules, for most of the image, if you reduce the quality to 80% to 85%, the file size will be reduced by 30 to 40%. Okay, with minimal effect of the image quality. So the user eye still see okay, and you have much smaller file size. So these are the general guidelines. Might not be applicable for all the cases, especially if you have like a highly specific audience of your photography website. Probably 80% is not acceptable, for example. So this is general guideline, but you need to base on your own website requirement to tweak it. So give you an example. In one of the websites that I built, we have a background image when you first go into the website. So originally it's 495 KB, this one. So after I reduce the quality to 80%, the file size becomes 180, so much smaller. The quality is okay for me, so I can accept the quality because it's a background image. So I have front content. So this one look okay for me. I cannot see the difference so much. So yeah, so just try on your image and how much you can tweak it. Next, also still image, responsive image. So image in desktop and tablet can be like 2 to 4 times larger than the mobile. Of course, because it's bigger screen, then we need to display bigger image. Then for smaller screen, actually, we can display smaller image, correct? So this is something we call responsive image. We serve image different size to different devices, to different screen size. So to give you an example, this one is like 28 KB on the desktop. But in mobile, I can show much smaller image, probably just 200 px of the width. So it's like 12 KB. So it's much smaller when you browse in your mobile. Okay, so how you can do it is you can use the media and then set what are the max width. So if this is this width, I want to show this image instead of the other two. So you can use this to set. But there are other ways for you to serve responsive image as well. So MDN, so Mozilla Mozilla Developer Network, I think so. Okay, MDM has a very good documentation of how you can configure, what are the syntax you can use to do responsive image. This is one of the way where you specify the source and then set the max width. Okay? Okay, so all these resize, compress, and format of the image. So for example, you have an PNG, you want to convert it to WebP, so you have a WebP format. So all these, you can use this app to do it. This app is called squash.app. You just open this is a website. So open this website, drag in an image. Instantly, you can set how many percentage you want to set the quality of the image, and then compare the difference, and then download it in JPG format, WebP format, or any others format. And then you can resize, or you can do compressions as well. So go to this website. It's also open source by the Chrome team, Google Chrome team. Or you can automate this compression, resize, and format with these NPM packages, image min, sharp, or gym. Just take a look at them, and you can set like different parameter configurations for you to optimize that. One last thing about the image is about lazy loading. This is something new that comes to Chrome 76, not supported by all the browsers yet, but in Chrome version 76, probably the version that you're running now, it's already there. So it's called lazy load image. So normally when we load the image, like this is your page, like a long page, it will load all the image by default, correct? So now Chrome actually support lazy load for the off-screen image. For the image that doesn't show in the screen, you delay the loading until the user scroll up. Okay, so how you can set it is you can use in the IMG, just say that loading equal to lazy if you want it to lazy load, or if you want the browser to decide for you, you just don't put anything, but you probably don't get the lazy loading. But once you set it, you can get the lazy loading feature. So only when the user scroll up, they will load the image. So your first load, when the user first go to your website, is much faster because load lesser images. Okay, so iframe can also be lazy loaded. So if you have iframe, for example, if your website have some third-party advertisements, normally you put an iframe there, you can also lazy load them so that it doesn't cost your website performance. Okay, so in summary for image, a performance image is lazy, is with appropriate format, so and then if with appropriate compressions, whether you use WebP, you use PNG, and it's with appropriate display size. So display smaller image for mobile, display bigger image for desktop. Okay, so this is about image. Next, font. Okay, so sometimes if you always in fast internet, probably you didn't recognize this. But if sometimes you go to a slower you have like slower connections, you might have this effect. It's called flash of invisible text. So by default, when my website, let's say I want to use some special font, I will load it to show it up. So when I load it at the time, if the font is not loaded yet, so probably it will show blank, like no text showing on the screen, and then suddenly it will just flash out when the font is loaded. This is not a very good experience for the user because it's like nothing, then suddenly you flash it out. So we call this flash of invisible text. And by default, browser will hide it for 3 seconds, and for the Safari browser, it will hide for infinite until the browser load the font out. Okay, so why not we do something better? We do something called flash of unstyled text. So despite of showing invisible text, like not showing anything, if the font is not loaded yet, we show the default system font, for example, like Arial, like most of our system have the font. Then only when the website is loaded, when the font is loaded, we swipe it to Google send font, like this is the font that I choose. So it's much better, so users still see the content, like at the first load, but it will replace it to a nicer font when it is loaded. To do this is very easy. What you need to do is you need to use this property called font display swap. So you just say that when you put this, means that you want to swipe the font when it's ready. Okay, so it can give you like 0.5 second improvement in visual complete on 3G. Okay, it's very specific, 0.5, but it's like very little effort that you just put in this line, then it works. So, and if you are using Google Font, so a lot of the website is using Google Font, you are even more effortless. What you need to do is you just put in this additional parameter called display equal to swipe, and then it will just swipe by default. I think now if you go to Google Font API to choose the font, right, this display swipe is already in the URL. So you normally just copy paste. So when you copy paste, it should be already there. So if it's not there, then you just add this in, then you are done. You don't need to even specify like what I specified just now because Google Font will take care of it. So really nice. And for font, you can also do something to limit the font character. So for example, for me, for this one, the title removed for slide, and the other font, like the connect, is actually 2 different fonts, for example. Okay, so for remove for slide, because this logo, I want the font to be a little bit special, so I use some special font. So, but in order to display the special font, it takes like 7.9 KB just to display that few words. So how can I improve it? I can say that for this font, I only want this letter. So I can specify like what are the letters that I want to load from the Google Font. Then you see that my file size from 7.9 KB is dropped to 1.6 KB because it's just abstract the font that I need instead of the whole file. So these are something that you can take to use the Google Font. And these are the website that you can go to see that there's a list of things you can optimizing your font requests. Another font tips is you can specify like what are the font weight that you want. So for example, in my web page, probably I know that I want the weight of 400, 600, and 900, that's all. So you don't load all the different sizes, you just need these 3 font weight. So you can also limit the font weight, okay? So these are another articles that you can read about on how to optimize the font's performance. Very useful. Okay, next, JavaScript. As a web developer, most of the time, I spend time writing JavaScript, okay, because my CSS is not that good. Just kidding. So I spend a lot of time writing JavaScript, and you know now there's a lot of framework, Angular, React, Vue. So day in, day out, we just write JavaScript for life. It also is JavaScript. So there are some jokes where if only I can just snap and then destroy half of the file, then I can achieve web performance optimization already. So I remove all the JavaScript, then it's done. So, but that's not happening. Someone actually come up with something called Thanos.js, so you snap, it will delete half of your JavaScript file. But you don't want, you want to play that, but make sure you save a copy of your current project. Okay, so one of the things that you can do for JavaScript optimization is use something called lazy loading, especially when you are developing application in like something we call single page applications, where everything built with JavaScript on the client side. This is important. So for traditional SPA, everything after you build, it bundled in a single JS file. So for example, you have 10 pages, all 10 pages of JavaScript, you group it, become one single big JavaScript file. So the size probably is 60 KB, for example. But in modern framework, most of the popular frameworks support something we call lazy load. So what it does is it can group some of your page into a JavaScript file itself, some to the other, some to the other. So only when you browse to that page, it will load that JavaScript instead of load one time everything upfront. So this one is much faster for your first time load experience. Okay, so how you can do it in, so this is an example code that you can do it in Angular. So there's a way to do it in other framework, but I didn't show it here because I just want to show you Angular. Okay, okay. So in Angular, how you can do it is you just say that I have let's say a route called speaker, like we go to a website /speaker, the URL. So then only when the user go to like speaker, I want to load this JavaScript file, something like this. So in React, you can use React suspend or React lazy to do it. In Vue.js, the code is similar to this. So you need to use import and then the JavaScript file. Okay? And then after you do lazy loading, sometimes you might want to do preloading. So what is preloading after lazy loading? So lazy loading, which means you'll be lazy, right? So preloading, which means that once I load this page, so now I am in like page A. So I know that I lazy load my current page JavaScript already. Then next, probably the user will go to page B and C. So once I load all my JavaScript, I want it behind the scene, load the JavaScript of page B and C so that when user go to that JavaScript already loaded. But first is need to make sure that my current page JavaScript already loaded first. So this is something that we call preloading, which means preloading others pages JavaScript. Okay, so at the background. Okay, so in Angular you can set it. So Angular already write the code for you. What you need to do is you need to set for your routing. You need to set that your preloading. I want to preload all the module when current page is loaded. So this is how you set. In React, Vue, or other framework, there are other ways to set it, but mostly they support things like this. Okay, so if you want to read further on how to do it, you can. These are the two links that you can go to. Okay, there are also something we call predictive preloading. Okay, this is something that is something called Guest.js and something called Quick Link. So this is open source by the Chrome team. One is open source by the Chrome team. This one is combinations of Chrome team and Angular team, but it's framework agnostic. So what you can do is, if you are for Guest.js, so for example, if you are using Google Analytics to track which of your pages is more popular, so normally when user go to page A, most likely they will go to page B. So Guest.js can take the input of your Google Analytics and then bundle your file to the way that the user might navigate into. So this is probably the user go to page A, after that they will go to page C normally, they'll bundle A and C together. And so these are how you can use Guest.js to configure this so that take the data from Google Analytics or some other sources to bundle it differently so that the page load faster. Or there's something called Quick Link. So once you include this Quick Link in your project, it will try to see like when your page have the URL, when you show a list of URL, it will try to look at the URL and then preload the page before the user browse to it. Like probably preload the first page. You can configure how many URL that you want to preload. So once you go to this page, a list of URL, I want to preload like all the URL before the user browse to it. So when the user click it, it will immediately load it out because it's already preloaded behind the scene. So take a look at these two open source package. It's here, and you can see how you can configure it. Okay. Also, there's something called differential loading. So just now, lazy loading, preloading, predictive loading, and now there's something called differential loading. So differential loading is about serving different bundle polyfill based on the browser versions. So this is a clearer image of that. So for the new browser, which we support a lot of features already, we support the JavaScript ES6 or new JavaScript features, which means we don't need to have polyfill or some other changes on the syntax because everything is modern. But for the old browser, we need more code because we need to polyfill some of the thing that doesn't support. So what we can do is when the browser first loaded the page, when you type the URL into the browser, it will first detect and check what is your current browser versions. If the browser version is latest, then it will grab the new bundle without any polyfill. But if it's know that your browser is the old browser or the browser doesn't support new features, it will just load the other bundle, which means bigger size because it needs more code to actually polyfill the existing features. So this one, most of the so this concept is come from Vue.js. So in Vue.js, it's quite popular, this concept. So I think it's built into the CLI when you build the project. In Angular, we have that as well. So if you have newer versions of Angular, you don't need to do anything. You just need to upgrade the Angular version to 8.3. Then when you build the project, it will automatically generate two bundles for you, one for the new browser, one for the old browser. Okay? And next is about how I can defer the JavaScript executions. So what do we mean by defer the JavaScript? So 57% of the JavaScript execution time is come from third-party code. So for example, one of your website might have a lot of third-party code, your advertisement code, your Google Analytics code, your tracking code, your logging code. Probably you call different APIs from different third-party code. And this might cost 57%. Not I say one, someone say it, okay? Okay. So how deferred JavaScript works is, before we need to know how deferred JavaScript works, we need to know how normal JavaScript works. So let's say you have a script tag. In your page, you have a script tag. So when you have a HTML parsing process, you read your HTML until it finds a script tag, then your HTML parsing will be paused, which means your screen probably is not showing anything yet because the JavaScript is blogging and I'm not doing anything from my HTML. It will stop, and then it will download the script. Depends on how big is your JavaScript file size, might be slow or might be fast. Then it will execute it. After it's execute the JavaScript, then only it will continue the HTML parsing, which means time for your first page might be slower if you are not deferred the JavaScript. But if you are deferring that, so what will happen is the HTML parsing process, it will download the script, but you don't see it doesn't have any pause because you say that it's deferred, which means you deferred it to execute after you download everything, after the HTML parsing, then I execute it. So this is the difference. So which means things that can show in your HTML probably faster. So what are the things that you can defer? Some of the things that you can defer, some JavaScript you cannot defer because you cannot wait. So one of the things that you can defer is the Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics if you are using it, because you can wait until the full page loaded, then only you start detecting that. Okay? So for me, my website, I put this script defer. So I deferred it until my page content loaded, then I'll need have that script run. So it's actually reduced the DOM complete time. So if you are running Lighthouse, the suggestion, it will show you like how you can improve it. Okay, and this is a quite famous website called Tokopedia. It's a startup. It's a unicorn startup in Indonesia. So what they are doing is the full web page is actually 320 KB for the first page, but they do a lead version of that. So when it's first load, for the new user, they actually see only 37 KB, which means very fast. Only once the user sign up and log in, they will go to like a bigger website because you need to show more things. So for new user, probably there are a lot of things that you can't access. So this is how they limit it. Okay? And then also, there are some expensive JavaScript library that you might not know that you use that. So for example, for Lodash, you can replace it with Lodash-ES if you are using, because what you can do is for the modern package, when we build the project, your compiler, your transpiler can smartly know that, oh, you only use these two functions of the whole code. Then it can help you to do tree shakeable, which means it's just cut down all the other code that you don't use, just put this. But if you are using like Lodash, instead of the new Lodash-ES, because the code doesn't write it that way, that you can split it up to help the compiler know that, oh, you can ignore all that, so it will give you everything. But if you are using Lodash-ES, when your Webpack build the project, it can just choose wherever you need and then chunk all the other that you don't need. So for Moment, if you are using Moment.js for the date, you can consider using that FNS and all the others. So if you are using that, when you build the project, it results in much smaller file size. Okay, so if you want to find the cost of some of the library, but how can I know that how much is the file size? Like what's the cost of the library? You can go to this website called Bundlephobia to find. It will tell you that how big is the size and what are the performance like if I load it. So it's a very useful website, Bundlephobia. Or if you are using Webpack to build your project, you can use Webpack Analyzer. So Webpack Analyzer spell out a JSON file where you can view it. It will show something like this. So you just look at all these big big chunk of it, then you see that, oh, probably what is auth.esm.js is like cost so big, then you see that, oh, probably there's something that I can improve the performance there. Probably I need to replace it, probably I import it wrongly. So use this to visualize your bundle size. Why is it cost so much? Okay, summary. Am I on time? I think so. Okay, in summary, performance optimization is a continuous effort. It's not one time. So you think that your website is slow now, you do one time, after that it will come back one. Because people keep on adding things, right? So make sure that you use some of the tools to measure continuously, like install the lighthouse, set the budget, so it's constantly remind you that, oh, I need to take care of the size of the package. Okay, so measure and then improve the performance, monitor it, and then repeat. So this is a continuous process. And so the Chrome team also shares some blueprint for performance success. So how do you convince your boss to invest on the performance? So can give you some time in your sprint story to complete it, to spend some time on improving the performance. So these are the 15 steps. So this is the video to explain the 15 steps. So this is the 15 steps that you can do, you can follow to make sure that the performance is success for your company, to convince the stakeholder that speed is a need for your company. You can take a photo of it, but I will share the whole slide for you also. Okay, so let's say Power Ranger, like behind this is your web. So as a software engineer, as someone that really write the code, we are the Power Ranger. Let's make the web better for everyone so that people like to use web and we still get to keep our job. And web is the easiest way for people to access to certain information and certain technology. Not like mobile apps, you need to install it. But for web, you don't need, you just need a URL, then that's it. So let's make the web better for everyone. And that's it. Thank you.
We have some time for questions. Anybody? Questions?
Oh, just for no questions, this is Orangutan. So this is the event I do called NGMY, the Angular Malaysia Conference, and this is the mascot.
One question here.
Yes.
So for Android apps, right, there is a directory called images where you can put the specification of the width and height of each image, right? So for web, is there any facility like that, or when it loads on device, then only it would be computed automatically and it would be resized, image would be resized? Is it dynamic, or in web also, web app development also, you have some provision like that?
Okay, so for the web, right, it doesn't resize. It's not like, I don't know how Android works. Probably what you mean is you drag it to a folder, then it will automatically chop up 4 size for you, something like that.
4 different configuration files.
Okay, then it will generate 4 different images for you. Okay, so there's no such thing in the web by default, but you can use the package. So this is something that you can do. You use the package that I mentioned in the website. So you preset it like you want the 4 sizes that you set, and then every time when you want to run it, you just run the configuration that you write, and then generate out 4 files, or run it during your upload. Because the web is an open platform, so Android probably handle it for you, but it's not handle it like that for the web. But in terms of, you say the web resize the image when you display it, it could be different. So it could be like image, I show it like full screen or small screen. But if you want the image to be a different image in different size during the generation's time, this is something that you need to write or use the library that I mentioned. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, Jecelyn.
Okay, thank you.
Jecelyn, we would like to give you a token of